This is the 230M, a budget mouse from Cougar. It's ambidextrous with no side buttons and it uses a 3307 sensor. Now let's get into the details. Here's a button check. The left and right click use Omron switches. They're fairly light and quiet, so they should be good for both FPS and MOBA games. The scroll wheel has a slight rattle going up, but it is quiet going down. The tactile feedback is a bit loose, so I don't think CS players would appreciate it, but for web browsing, it's quite good. Mouse 3 is hard to press in, so there shouldn't be any accidental clicks, and the response time on the left mouse button seems fairly normal, with no obvious delay in the human click test. Tapping the mouse reveals it's fairly solid, although when shaking it, even with the buttons held in, there is a noticeable rattle on my copy. The materials are all plastic, other than the rubber scroll wheel. I found them both to be comfortable enough, especially at the price point. The cable is 1.8 meters long and braided. It's fairly rough but holds its shape a little. And using a bit of blue tack, it didn't cause me any problems in game. There are two large mouse feet, front and back, and while not the smoothest, they glide quite well. Here is a look at the shape. It's a long, thin mouse, and the grip width is actually under 5.5 centimeters, but the base is still about 12 centimeters long. This is a bit out from the 2:1 ratio that I usually like, but for my 18.5 centimeter hand, it's actually fairly comfortable. But I think the ledge is a bit big for my fingers, as during game I was resting my ring finger on top rather than on the side. The hump is more toward the back, so it feels good for palm grip. I'd say it's for hands between 17 and 19 centimeters. Claw grip would be fine for 18 to 20 centimeters, and it's roughly 4 centimeters high with downward sloping buttons, so fingertip grip might struggle a little, but 18 to 20 should manage. Just a note on the size, because it is thin, hands over 19.5 centimeters might find it a bit awkward. The buttons don't have any comfort grooves either, but they're fairly wide with plenty of room. Now let's test this 3307 sensor. First, some rocket jumps. And it handles quite well. Even when I flick faster than usual, it'll still track. But if I break a certain speed, that's when it starts to spin out. So I can make it spin out just doing really fast flicks. But for a cheap mouse, that's okay. We can't expect perfection from it. It handles really well considering. Next is the sniper test. Moving pixel by pixel. Tracking perfectly. Now speed it up a bit. Quite smooth. The surprising part of this mouse is how responsive it feels. I still don't have an accurate way of testing it, but it does feel quite snappy. Now to test acceleration and deceleration, just turning around slowly at first, then swiping the mouse back very quickly. And that's a great response. Not exact, but I don't think there is acceleration or deceleration on it. I've performed these tests at low and high DPI, and it responds the same. The lift-off distance is very low at only 1 DVD, which is about 1.4 millimeters. Drawing some lines shows no skipping, no angle snapping, and no jitter. Now the important question, could I aim with it? The answer is yes. It was good in game. Not my best, but for the price, a great performance. Projectiles, tracking and sniper weapons were all solid. If I was looking for a budget mouse, especially ambidextrous or one without side buttons, I'd definitely consider this an option. This is a mouse with no software, so there are 4 DPI modes, 400, 800, 1600 and 3200. And the LED under the scroll wheel is set to one color and one mode. On this one, it's red and using a breathing effect. There doesn't seem to be any memory, so unless you use the default 400, you'll have to click the DPI button to get your preferred DPI each time you turn on the computer. In conclusion, this is a good, cheap, ambidextrous option. It has a slightly odd shape, but it's comfortable enough. The sensor isn't perfect and it only spun out on me once during game. I was happy to use it and I enjoyed playing. For the price, it's definitely worth it. This is a black and red version, but you can also get the white and yellow one. Hope that helps. Subscribe for more mouse reviews if you haven't already. I'll leave some links in the description if you want to check out more information and where to buy it. Like this video, and I'll catch you in the next.